In this session, we will talk about items like shape tool. For example, circle, square, etc. To use this, there are a few ways. From the toolbars, you can use the shape tool, the rectangle, or its shortcut. The shortcut is Q. You see this small triangle down here? Each item that has this sign, that means they have some other options inside. Click on them to see the other options. These shapes are available for us. As you hold the mouse, select one of these shapes and then release the mouse button. I choose the ellipse tool, which is the circle. I click on the composition window to draw a circle. Whichever I drag the mouse, I can get the shape I want. If you want a circle, hold the shift button as well. When you hold the shift, it becomes a circle, and you can only change its dimension. If you don't use the shift, the shape form changes too. In the previous session, you learned about the anchor points. When I make changes in this circle, it is done from the upper left point. If you want the anchor point to be in the middle, as you hold the shift, hold the control too. So when you want to draw a circle in the scene and change its dimension, hold both shift and control. Suppose you want to move the circle to the middle of the scene. At the same time you hold the circle with the mouse, without releasing the mouse, use shift and space. You can move this circle like this. So the shift is here to make a circle. If you hold Ctrl 2, the anchor point goes to the middle of the circle, so you can change its dimension. And when you press Shift space, you can move the circle place. Ctrl to change the dimensions and space to change the place. So you learned about drawing a shape. We did draw a circle here. The circle has a stroke. The lines around the shape are the stroke. Inside of it has no color and you see the background color. Use Fill item to paint the inside. Open it. The Fill option window opens. Choose the solid color, and inside the circle has color now. Choose the color tone with opacity. The next option is linear gradient. You can create color which is combination of a few colors. The radial gradient is the circle type of gradient. I choose the linear gradient. With the fill color part, I select the colors I want. Let's continue with red and green colors. You can see that these colors were combined. With the V button, you can play with the linear color, but we don't use the gradient option normally. Solid works better for us in motion graphics, and here you can choose the color. Blue, green, and other colors. This stroke is placed around the shape. You can disable it from here. Put it under none, and it goes away. It has different types of color as well. You can also change its opacity. I want a stroke for my circle, and I want it to be blue. This number is used to specify the thickness of the stroke. More and less. This way how you give a stroke to your shape. Other shapes are also the same. I draw a rectangle. Shift to maintain the shape of a square. Control Shift to change its dimension from the middle. Control Shift and space to move the square place, like this. You can disable the fill and change the stroke color to red. The next item is rounded rectangle. Its name is clear, and you can see the form right here. It is a square with slightly curved corners. The next shape is polygon, which we draw polygons with it, of course. Again, the shortcuts we talked about. The Shift, Control Shift and space. An interesting point here, when you haven't released the mouse yet, with up and down keys, you can change the number of sides. I reduce its sides. The lowest state is triangle. If we increase it too much, it becomes a circle. So remember not to confuse the circle with the polygon option, because it stays in the same form you used in the last time. This one has a lot of sides, but the circle doesn't. The next shape is the star. It works exactly like the polygon. Its corners can be increased and decreased. In the least case, it becomes a triangle. And when they increase, will look like this. So remember that you can change its angle with up and down keys. Let me show you on the keyboard. I mean these ones. These two change the number of sides. I remove all of them from the composition window. You can draw shapes from the layer menu, new, and shape layer. The difference is that at the bottom an empty shape is created. Right click here, new, and shape layer opens, which is empty. Click on here. There is an add option in front of the contents. If you don't see this, activate this item down here. In the add section, you can choose between rectangle, ellipse, Polygon Star, and path. For instance, I click on this one to do a rectangle. To fill the inside, we select the fill option. For the color, you can select it from here, or the options above, or give it some stroke. Whatever change I make will show up in the content section. I made a rectangle. In the size part, adjust its size. This is the same pixel option that is at the top. Drag it to the right, it enlarges, and to the left, it shrinks. When this little option is enabled, it means length and width vary with each other. But when it's disabled, it means you can change them separately. Like this. With the position item, you can set its location, and with the roundness, determine the amount of curvature around it. In the stroke part, you can select the stroke color. By stroke width, adjust the thickness of the stroke. These are the same option as above. When you change one of them, that one is also changed. I'll tell you about line cap and line join when I'm going to talk about the next item. And also dash. You know what fill is for. I choose blue. You can use both content and the fill at the top of the page. Opacity is for color tonality. Stroke has this option too. You can play with colors like this. So you learned about the contents options. In addition to the options above, you can also use the options at the bottom. Here they are. I delete it from the scene. You can add other shapes as well. This time I add the ellipse. I fill the inside and change its size with the size option or just drag the shape. Also, go on with the easier way. Working with the above option is much easier. Let's clean the scene. The next item is the pen tool. For example, you want to draw a shape, but you don't have it ready in the shape tool. So we use the pen tool, and its shortcut is the G button. I click here, and here, and there. Suppose it's a chart. You can draw whatever you want. To connect these lines, click on this point. Then you can fill the inside. But even though you don't draw the last line, you can still fill the shape with color. However, it will look like this. I remove the color. There are two other things I want to explain to you. Let me choose the selection tool first. As you can see, these corners of our shape are very sharp. To fix this, we come to the shape layer, contents, shape, and stroke. Because it's about the stroke, I change its color from here. When you put the line cap on the round cap, the lower part is rounded, but the butt cap has a broken state. Attention here, round cap gives it a round shape. You can also round the fractures of this part with the line joints, round joints. Look at them. Notice these interconnected parts. About the bevel joint, I draw a square here. As you can see, these corners are sharp. When you put it on bevel option from the stroke part, this shape will be the final form. However, the line cap doesn't change its shape because it is related to the line. But in the square, the lines are all connected. The line joint changes the shape. You can round the corners or keep it sharp. About the dash option that I wanted to tell you here. I click on this line and go to the stroke part. There's nothing in the dash part, but there's a plus and minus in front. When I press add, two options will create here. When I increase the dash number, this will happen. It finds a fragmented state, like when you use dash mode in the Office Word program. Like this, select the form you want. With offset items, you can move them. Each of these with a stopwatch next to them can be animated. We will talk about how to animate these in the next sessions. Offset is used to move the lines, and dash is used to specify the line space. If we remove dash, it will be back to the first place. So it was the tools. As I said, from the layer menu, choose the shape layer. Or right click down here, from the menu, choose the shape layer. In the next session, you will learn about different types of layers. I told you about the anchor point and rotation tools as well. Now I'll make a brief reference to it. Consider this square. When I rotate this, it moves around the anchor point. Use this option, or its shortcut, the Y button. You can move the anchor point and place it here, for example. Now that I turn it, it moves like this. When we want to put it in the middle, we hold Control. And also we want to locate it in the side point, we hold Control. Now it spins around the center. Turning shortcut is the numpad plus and minus. These two here. If you hold Shift as well, the turning speed will increase. You also learned about the text option before, and it was the tools you need to learn. Thanks for watching.